last seen on Facebook and everything.
You can admit the participants.
ரெக்கார்டிங் ஆரம்பிச்சிடுங்க ரைட்.
Yes, I will do that. Yeah, I see Narayanan. Maybe I can use him also. Narayanan, I've made you also a co-host, so you can also let people in. It's okay?
Okay, yeah.
Perfect. Okay, I think we can go ahead and get started. You can just reduce the Shruti. I think you can turn it back on. Okay, perfect. Just one other thing. Let me do, and then we'll be on. Okay, very good. I think we are ready. Warm greetings to all of you from San Diego. Thank you so much for joining us for this wonderful pilgrimage we have planned for you today. With all of us itching to get out of our homes to interesting places, I think we are in for an amazing virtual trip through this conversation, pilgrimage with Sri Muthuswamy Dikshithar, with two amazing musicians of this generation, Vidwan R.K. Shriramkumar and Vidushi Amritha Murali. I cannot tell you, how much we appreciate all your support from all over the world over the last several months. We are connecting with you today from San Diego as usual. And after hearing my repeated descriptions about this great city, I got some very interesting inquiries on whether these descriptions are real or embellishments. I have to tell you that they are real. We do have the best weather, the best skies, clouds, proximity to both beaches and hills, surfing and skiing, the prettiest neighborhoods, and we also boast one of the best Indian performing arts destinations in all of North America, with the presence of Indian Fine Arts Academy San Diego here. Indian Fine Arts Academy San Diego is an amazing organization that has been doing absolutely awesome service to performing arts. And we are humbled and grateful to be in our 14th year of service to the arts. My name is Revati Subramanian, and I'm one of the managing trustees of this great organization, founded back in September 2007 by some sincere lovers of performing arts. We have organized about 230 concerts of Carnatic and Hindustani vocal and instrumental music, Bollywood music, world music, and various dance performances, including Kuchipudi, Bharatanatyam, Kathak, Odissi, Kathakali, Mohiniyattam, modern fusion dance, and so on, as well as lecture demonstrations on various topics to packed and highly enthusiastic audiences here. We have had an 8-day annual festival every year for the last 12 consecutive years, highly acclaimed by artists, rasikas, as well as magazines. Our annual music festival is one of the most anticipated events every year for performers and rasikas of performing arts from all over the world. Over 1,000 artists from all over the world, including US, India, Canada, UK, Singapore, South Africa, Malaysia, Dubai, etc., have performed here. And these artists tell us how much they enjoy performing for us year after year. Our annual festival is the second largest in the world, next to only the Cleveland Aradhana outside of India, and is attended by people from all over North America. In addition, we stage an annual youth festival, competitively selecting young artists from all over North America. Indian Fine Arts Academy is managed by a board of 19 music lovers, led extremely effectively by our president and secretary, Dr. Shekhar Vishwanathan, whose love for performing arts as well as organization shows in every event we put together. The organization thrives with the help of hundreds of volunteers we are deeply indebted to. This year, the Federation of Sabhas in Chennai, which includes 8 Sabhas, has collectively staged the December programs, which included Carnatic vocal and instrumental concerts, Bharatanatyam, Nama Sankirtanam, lecture demonstrations, Tamil dramas, etc. Indian Fine Arts Academy of San Diego had entered into an agreement with the Federation of Sabhas to stream these events free of cost to our 2020 and 2021 paid subscribers. Some of these events are still available till March 31st for your viewing pleasure, and please don't miss these events. Every day, we are more hopeful that COVID will truly be behind us soon, and we'll be able to have in-person concerts very soon. But when COVID started, we decided that since option A of having this in person is not available, let us follow the advice of Sheryl Sandberg, COO of Facebook. She says option A is not available. Let's utilize option B to the max. We started a conversation series with some of the most amazing artists of today, creating unparalleled educational experiences for our audiences. And these have become events that folks from all over the world look forward to. Who knows? We may have to continue these even after things become normal. We have been truly fortunate to have exceptional artists such as Sri Neyveli Santanagopalan, Srimati Aruna Sairam, Sri Chitraveena Ravikiran, Sri Shriram Parasuram, Srimati Anuradha Shriram, Srimati Priyadashni Govind, Dr. Padma Subramaniam, Dr. Pantula Rama, and Sri MSN Murthy, Srimati Geetanjali Lal, Sri Kasim Subhan, as well as Professor Sri Truchi Shankaran just 2 weeks ago, whose scintillating talk on Liam will stay with us for a very, very long time. Please don't miss these online. Please like Indian Finance Academy San Diego on Facebook, and you can watch these events. Today, we have a pilgrimage with Sri Muthuswamy Dikshithar by Vidwan Sri R.K. Shriramkumar, one of the most sought after violinists today, with amazing vocal prowess as well, and Vidushi Amritha Murali with an incredibly rich violin and vocal talent. With me today is San Diego's much respected vocal guru, incredible Rasika, one of the biggest Carnatic music enthusiasts I know, and Indian Finance Board trustee, Dr. C.M. Venkatachalam. I would like to invite him to introduce the artist for today and kick off this conversation. Please keep yourself muted and video turned off if you have to re-enter the Zoom event. That will certainly help improve the quality of this event. Thank you so much. To you, Dr. Venkatachalam.
Thank you, Amritha, for that beautiful introduction. It's indeed a pleasure to introduce artists today. Vidwan R.K. Shriramkumar belongs to the Rudrapatnam family of musicians. It's a glorious musical tradition. He's the grandson of much respected Vidwan Sri R.K. Venkatrama Shastri. Having had his initial violin lessons from Srimati Savitri Satyamurthy, Shriramkumar was trained in violin playing and also in vocal music by his grandfather, Sri R.K. Venkatrama Shastri. He later received guidance in violin playing from Vidwan Sri V.V. Subramaniam and in vocal music from Sangeeta Kalanidhi D.K. Jayaraman. His skills were further honed through the association and knowledge that he gained by accompanying some of the best Carnatic musicians, Sangeeta Kalanidhi Sri Semmangudi Srinivas Iyer, Srimati M.S. Subbalakshmi, Srimati D.K. Patmal, Sri D.K. Jayaraman, Sri Balghat K.V. Narayanaswamy, and Srimati T. Brinda and others. This is a very beautiful list that he has accompanied. His discography includes, apart from his solo recordings, his violin accompaniments with reputed artists, has had the blessed opportunity of participating in a very unique recording entitled Divine Unison, featuring Semmangudi Srinivas Iyer and M.S. Subbalakshmi. The recipient of many awards, Shriramkumar has traveled far and wide on concert tours. His solo performances and legdams have received wide acclaim world over. He has set to music several lyrics and also composed music for many dance productions. Sri Sarada Suti Manjari is a recording rendered by Srimati Bombay Jayasri that contains compositions of Jagat Gurus of Sri Sringeri Sarada Peetham. Sita Vislesha Trayam, a dance production by Dr. Vaijayatimala Bali, are a few notable works among many that feature Shriramkumar's musical creations. He is a walking encyclopedia when it comes to Vagyakaras, their Paddhati, particularly Muthuswamy Dikshithar. I still very fondly remember the workshop we had 3-4 years ago when he talked about how Muthuswamy Dikshithar has crafted ragas as seen in Pradarshani. This is absolutely wonderful. It also shows that when you see a musician play a violin, you call him a violinist, it's only a partial statement. Music is multidimensional. There are many elements involved. And you get to realize that when you actually hear some of these legdems by Shriramkumar. And now we also have Amritha Murali amongst us, the most popular and proficient musicians of the current generation, having been trained under musicians such as K.R. Getarnathan, Meera Getarnathan, Rama Ravi, T. Rukmani, P.S. Narayan Swami, and now Sri R.K. Shriramkumar. Her music is an enjoyable amalgam of integrity to classical values, delightful creativity, and pristine presentation. Amritha is the recipient of many awards, notable among them being the awards from the Music Academy, Chennai, and the Ustad Bismillah Khan Yuva Puraskar from the Sangeet Natak Academy, New Delhi. I cannot forget I think it was 2013, this dance Yashodhara that was organized by Gauri Ramnayan, for which Amritha Murali gave live music. And there was a live dance, right, by Maithil Prakash. But the entire orchestra was pre-recorded. Now I want you to think about this. This musician who has to sing facing the dancer, synchronizing with the dance, but at the same time synchronizing with a completely pre-recorded instrumentation that contains in some places percussion, some places they are simply slokam and there is nothing heard. And today we can hear that recording that was made that day. And you will see, you will all understand during this pandemic time what a difficulty it is to have synchronization done when people sing separately. Why I say this is that Amritha Murali's singing that day showed to me the precision with which she sang, the bhava she brought, and the accuracy with which she followed certain prerequisites for that particular dance. From that day, I've been watching how Amritha Murali was singing. I asked that day, who is your guru? And then, of course, I know I can understand everything else. Today, we are so happy to have both of them with us today. Now, we know that many of the compositions of Muthuswamy Dikshithar refer to particular kshetras, even very popular ones. We know Hamsajani Kriti, Vatapi Ganapatim. One question we all ask is, where is Vatapi? Things like that come up. And I always wonder, after seeing the number of kshetras that has referred to, how did Muthuswamy Dikshithar even manage to travel in those times? He didn't have stretch limo, he didn't have helicopters. And this must have been tremendously difficult to do that. So we are really fascinated. In fact, I'm about to suggest to Sri V.V. Sundaram, I don't know whether he's here on the Zoom today, that he, along with Revati Subramaniam, should organize a real pilgrimage. And of course, taking Shriramkumar and Amritha Murali with us, essentially doing all those things and go through that. What do you think of that, Revati?
I think that's a
Yeah.
wonderful idea.
And I must say, acknowledge that this topic was first suggested to Vidwan Shriramkumar by Revati Subramaniam. She was very excited to do this. And something about it told us that, yes, that's what we should do, I think. And so we are really fortunate that we have R.K. Shriramkumar to tell us about all this pilgrimage we are going to do with entirely music in mind, and also look at the ragas and the kind of language Sanskrit that he used. Please, back to you.
Okay. You can unmute your. Yes, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Mama, Venkatachal Mama. Thank you, Revati. And thank you, Indian Fine Arts Academy, San Diego. It is such a pleasure to be with you all. And thank you for having us this morning. And this will be a musical pilgrimage. It will be a visit and an experience of the divine in all these kshetras, along with the divinity or the grandeur that is seen in Sri Muthuswamy Dikshithar's composition in terms of Sangeeta and Sahitya. And as I always say, this is a blissful divine unison of Sangeeta and Sahitya in all these great compositions by the great composers. So we will experience, we will look into the nuances of all these facets in Sri Dikshithar's compositions, and we will try to, given the time that we have, we will try to cover most of the kshetras that Dikshithar seems to have visited and composed, and also we might not be able to sing the whole composition because certain kritis are too big, and so we might not be able to cover every. We might sing snippets from each composition. So, and we will follow Revati because she will lead us with her questions, and we'll both Venkatachalam Mama and Revati will lead us with their questions and their description of kshetras as well. So let us all join them in this musical pilgrimage. Thank you.
Awesome. Would you like to say something about kind of overall about the pilgrimage to begin with, or should we get started with the first destination we have?
Yeah. As all of you know, Sri Muthuswamy Dikshithar was born in Tiruvarur. The family hailed from Virinchipuram, and subsequently Ramaswamy Dikshithar, the father of Muthuswamy Dikshithar, they moved to Tiruvarur, and Sri Muthuswamy Dikshithar was born in Tiruvarur. And it is said that he was born with the blessings of Sri Muthukumara Swami, who is enshrined in the temple town of Vaidishwaran Kovil. So thus he was named Muthuswamy. And since then, Dikshithar, Muthuswamy Dikshithar and his brothers, Chinnaswamy Dikshithar and Balaswamy Dikshithar and his sister, and the whole family, they moved to Chennai to Manali near Madras for a brief period under the patronage of Manali Venkatakrishna Mudaliar. And it is said that um, Muthuswamy Dikshithar met his Diksha Guru, Chidambaram Yogin, at this place in Manali. And Dikshithar, young Muthuswamy Dikshithar, went along with Chidambaram Yogin to Kashi, where he was given the Upadesha of the Sri Vidya Mantra, and he did intense Japa Sadhana and Tapa Sadhana in Kashi, and as well as his training, his prowess, his practice with the music that he had acquired from his own father. Ramaswamy Dikshithar was a very, very versatile and a very erudite musician himself. And it is at Manali also that the family met uh, the person who claimed to be a descendant of Venkatamakin.
Mhm.
And it is at this place that Ramaswamy Dikshithar requested his patron to acquire the Lakshana Granthas from this musician. And Subbarama Dikshithar records this interesting story. So this person who claimed to be a descendant of Manali, of Venkatamakin, initially did not want to part with any kind of material, not knowing of, because they were probably very strict about the paramparas they followed. So he was not willing to part with any kind of information. So he said, I believe, that he would give a murchana in the raga, and if Ramaswamy Dikshithar would be able to say what the raga was, he would be convinced that he also belonged to the same parampara. And that is how this musician uh, gives him the murchana of the raga Tanu Kirti, and Ramaswamy Dikshithar uh, identifies the raga as Tanu Kirti, and that is how Venkatakrishna Mudaliar acquires the Lakshana Granthas from this musician. And it is also said that he composed a padam called Nannu Parikshinchanela in the Tanu Kirti and performed with his sons in that court. And Muthuswamy Dikshithar subsequently traveled to Kashi from Manali with his spiritual guru Chidambaram Yogin. And after his long stay in Kashi, he came back to Tirutani, and it is at Tirutani.
Did we lose him? Looks like we did. Hopefully, you'll be able to connect. Such wonderful details, right? That we normally don't get to hear if we attend a concert. This is really awesome listening to this wonderful musician. Let's see. Let me. Okay, looks like we lost them.
Yeah, they're back.
They're back now?
Yeah, they seem to be back. They are trying to unmute themselves.
Ah. Where are they? Hold on. You should be able to unmute them as well. We should have no problem unmuting. Ask to unmute. If you can please unmute yourself. Yes.
Yeah.
Great.
Is
Yeah.
this okay now?
Please. Yeah, it's clear now. It's clear. I think we lost you just for a few seconds there. Please go
Yeah,
ahead. Yeah, I can. We are waiting to get to Tirutani.
yeah. Yes. So it is at Tirutani that it is said that Dikshithar experienced this this divine will there, and it is from there he uh, he burst into all his grand compositions. And the very first composition, Srinathadi Guru Guho Jayati in the Raga Maya Madavagola, is that is a whole thesis by itself, and it has so much information in that one composition. And beginning with that composition, you have 7 other compositions which form the set of Guru Guha Vibhakti Kritis. And all the 8 Kritis that belong to this set describe the Lakshanas of an ideal Srividya Guru. Dikshithar considered Guha as his own Guru, and thus the Mudra Guru Guha. That is one explanation. And the other is, since he was a very adept Srividya Upasaka, in the Shakta tradition, for that matter, in any tradition, the Guru is always accorded the highest place of importance. And it is said the Guru and the Goddess, or the Guru and the Godhead, are no different. Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Yaptadehaya Dakshinamurtiye Namaha. So the Guru and the Godhead are supposed to be considered the same Swarupa. You should not see a difference between the Guru and the Godhead. And the Kritis, all the 8 Kritis, describe the ideal Lakshanas of Srividya Guru as described in the Upanishad. He was also a very keen follower of Adi Shankara's Advaita Siddhanta, and all these compositions reflect the philosophy of Shankara as in Advaita, philosophy of Shankara as in the Shanmata. So he covers all the 6 matas propounded by Shankara, and he gives much insight into the Shakta philosophy, into the Srividya philosophy, and everything. All of this comes with great music, great Sangeeta that belongs to the parampara of Venkatamakhin, and you see the Lakshanas of Ragas as seen in that parampara as well. And the very first composition, as I said, gives you the description of all the 8 compositions do not describe Guha or Subramanya in an iconic form, but it describes the Lord as the Guru, and all the 8 Kritis are dedicated to the greatness of the Guru, and you find a lot of information that has been said in the Upanishad, like the Bhavana Upanishad, like the Tripura Upanishad, and every single line, every single word, every musical setting is finds its perfect place. Actually, I've been pre-warned by all my students not to talk much about Srinath because that one composition will take the whole session now. But can we get started with Srinath Hadi?
Yes,
And,
yes, absolutely, absolutely. And,
yes.
I mean, Tiruttani is, our Kuladaivam. It is one of our favorite kshetrams that, have
You hail
visited.
from Narkarkad, I guess, then.
Yes, yes, please, please.
Yes. As I told you, the very first, I'm not going to go in detail, too much detail on the Kriti because that will take the whole session. But I have to give you important snippets of this beautiful composition. The very first word, Srinath Hadi, Guru Guho Jaiti, that line is a quintessence of the Guru Mandalarchana Shloka that is said during the commencement of the Avarana Puja. Srinathadi Gurutrayam Ganapatim Pithatrayam Bhairavam Siddhaugam Vatakatrayam Padayugam Duti Kramam Mandalam Veera Yashta Chatushka Shashti Navakam Veeravali Panchakam Shriman Malini Mantra Raja Sahitam Vande Gurur Mandalam. So Srinathadi Guru Guho Jayati encompasses all the constituents of the Guru Mandala, and Dikshithar mentions his Diksha name also in the composition, and the musical setting of the Pallavi gives you the Arohana, Avrohana of the Raga, and it gives you the Arohana, Avarohana in 3 Kala Pramana. This is well known. Shri Nathadi Guru Guho Jayati Jayati Shri Nathadi Guru Guho Jayati Jayati Shri Nathadi Guru Guho Jayati Jayati Shri Sa Di Gama. First column Padanisa, second column Ida Magarisa, third column. So you essentially have Sarigama Padanisa, Sanida Magarisa, the first line of the in the Pallavi. The second line of the Anupallavi gives you a glimpse of the the first line gives you a glimpse of the Sarali Varshay. The second line gives you a glimpse of the Janta Varshay. So Shri Chidanandanatho Hamiti Santatam Vidini Bhajashri Sa Sa Ni. That Jante Varshay is not given as Sasani Pasari Rika Gama Mapa Pada Dani Nisas or Sasani Nida Dapa Pama Magagadi. It is not given like that. It is kind of encoded and sa sa ni da pa ma. So you have a glimpse of Janta Varshay there. Shri Chidanandanatho Hamiti Santatam Vedini Bhajashri Nathadi Guru Guho Jayati. You have a glimpse of your mandrasthai as well. So Dikshithar tells you have to practice in the mandrasthai as well. Since this raga is, and Subrahma Dikshithar writes in his magnum opus work, the Sampradaya, Sangeeta Sampradaya Pradarshini, he says, these days musicians use the Shankarabharanam scale to satisfy all Europeans to teach the Abhyasa Ganam. It has to be Maya Manavagauda. And so you have a glimpse of the mandrasthai as well. Now in the Anupallavi, Dikshithar gives you a glimpse of the Alankara. So normally we sing Alankara with 4 swaras. Sari Gama Gari Sari Gari Sari Gama Ri Gama Pa Ma Gari Gama Gari Gama Pa Gama Pa Da Pa Ma Gama Pa Ma Gama Pa Da. So it involves 4 swaras, right? Now, the Anupallavi, the musical setting of the Anupallavi is such that it actually very beautifully gives you a setting of an Alankara with 5 swaras. And that's how this goes. Nana prapancha vichitra karo namarupa pancha bhuta karo ajnana dvanta prachanda bhaskaro jnana pradayako maheshwaro. As you see, he describes the Guru as the Parabrahman, as the one from whom the whole universe is created, as the one who dispels all ignorance or ajnana, and he also describes the Guru as the triumvirate of the Divyoga, Siddhauga and the Manauga streams of Gurus. So this is the essence of the Anupallavi. And the musical setting, if you see, Sari Gama Pa Sani Da Pa Ma. So Na Na Prapancha Sari Sari Gama Pa Pichitra Sani Da Pa Ma. This is the first line. Second line, Namarupa Tigama Pada Nida Pamaga Gama. Third line, Dapa Maga. Fourth line, Ma Padani Pamagadi नाना प्रपंच विचित्र करो नाम रूप पंचभूत करो अज्ञान ध्वंत प्रचंड भास्करो ज्ञान प्रदायको Maheshwar. And this involves 5 swaras instead of the regular alankaras that we sing with 4 swaras. The number 5 is associated with Lord Shiva. The number 3 is associated with the goddess. That is why the goddess is always known as Tripura, because everything that is associated with her is threefold, or 3 or multiples of 3. Her mantras, or her form, or her everything is a multiple of 3, and that is why Sarvam Trayam Yasmat Tasmat Sa Tripura Matasyasi Kalika Puran. So everything that is associated with the goddess is the number 3, and everything that is associated with Lord Shiva is number 5. That is why he has 5 faces. His mantra is 5 syllabled. He takes 25 forms. He takes 5 different forms. So the number 5 is very closely associated with Lord Shiva, and the Guru is none other than Lord Shiva, because Ajnanadvanta Prachanda Bhaskaro Jnana Pradayako Maheshwaro. So you find Alankara with 5 swaras. This is it. These are all, I don't think these are all mere coincidences, and I think it's all divine will that finds its best and the most appropriate place.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. Please go ahead. It's wonderful.
There are these 3 streams of gurus that guide the aspirant. Divyogha, Manavgha, Siddhavgha, and the Manavgha stream of gurus. And the guru is of the form of these 3 streams of gurus who guide the aspirant. So, Divyogha Sakala Dehadharo Manasananda Karachadurakaro Madguruvaro Mangalam Karotu Shri Nathadi Guru Moha Jayati Shri Chidanandanatho Hamiti Santatam Hridini Bhaja Shri Nathadi Guru Moha Jayati. Again, in the long charanam, every line in the charanam begins with the syllable Ma, and from the 3rd line you find a very beautiful musical pattern. Maya Maya Vishwadhishthano Matmakakari Matanushtha. Like how Dikshithar is very strict about his Sangeeta Parampara, he is very strict about his spiritual Parampara as well. So he mentions in this and the other compositions as well that he belongs to the Kadi school of Sri Vidya. So, Umatmaka Kadi Matanushthano Malini Mandalantavidhano Mantradya Japa Hamsadhyano Maya Karya Kalanahino. From this line, you find a very beautiful musical pattern. Maya Karya Kalanahino Magama Patapa Magama. This set of swaras is a palindrome. So if you read from the side also, it's the same set of swaras. If you can write it and see, you will find for yourself. Magama Da pa ma ga ma ga ma pa da pa ma ga ma. And the next line begins. This begins at ma. The next line begins at panchama. Ma ma ka sahasra kamala sino. Again, this is a palindrome. From this side, it's the same. From both ways, it's the same set of swaras. And Dikshithar describes the Guru's sthana in one's body. He explains how the Guru is seated in the Sahasrara or the 1,000-petaled lotus is the topmost part of the brain. And moving on, the next line begins at Daivata. Madhurya Ganamrita Pano. Da, again, palindrome. Da, ni, sa, ni, da. And again, next is beginning Nishada. Madhavadya Bhaya Parapradano. Beginning Ni, ending in Nishada again. And Tarasai Shadja. Maya Shabarita Brahmarupo. In Tarasai Shadja, the line beautifully describes the Guru as the Parabrahman. So that is why he said the music and Sahitya go so beautifully well. When he describes the Guru as the Parabrahma Swarupa, the music is in the Tarasthai Shadja. So again, that is a palindrome in itself. Then comes back to Mara Kodi Sundara Swarupo. Again, Nishada to Nishada. Mati Matam Hridaya Gopuradipo. Daivatam to Daivatam. Mata Shuradi Jaya Pratapo. This is again a palindrome. And all these lines, all the swaras of these lines are palindromes. Maya Malava Diresha Mahipati Pujita Padara Pradesha Madhavadya Mara Brinda Prakasha Maheshasya Mahatopadeshasya Nathadi Guru Gogo Jayati Jayati Shri Chidanandanatho Hamiti Santatam Vedini Bhaja Shri Nathadi Guru Gogo Jayati. There's much more to say in this composition, and yes, there are too many nuances here. And beginning with this composition, rest of the Krutis in the Guru Guha Vibhakti series all describe the Lakshanas of the ideal Sri Vidya Guru. And the second one, the next one is Manasa Guru Guha in the Raga Ananda Bhairavi, Shri Guruna Panitosmi in the Raga Padi, Guru Guhaya Bhaktanugrahaya in the Raga Sama, Guru Guha Danyam Najane in the Raga Balahamsa, Shri Guru Guhasya Dasoham in the Raga Purvi, Guru Guha Swamini Bhaktim Karomi in the Raga Bhanumati, and Shri Guru Guha Murte in the Raga Uday Ravichandrika. And yes.
Amazing. This just reminds me of something about the Tirthani Sthalam actually. You can really see the joy in this particular Kriti. And interestingly, the Sura Samhara festival, which is celebrated in pretty much every Murugan temple, it's actually not followed in the Tirthani temple. And that is because, after destroying Sura in Tiruchendur, he comes to Tirthani with a very victorious and happy mood, with no war plans, apparently. And so the war festival is not celebrated. Instead, flowers weighing like 1,000 kilograms are offered to the Lord there, apparently. But, you can really see the joy in this, the first Kriti you sang as well. Just amazing. I think we can just park ourselves in Tirupani for another few hours, but I think we do need to move on. So let us go to Tiruvarur now, with the amazing, Kamalalayam temple I just want to share a few details before I hand it over to you. So the temple tank that covers around 16 acres, and that is the third largest in the country. And it is as large, as the land occupied by the temple, with its 9 gopurams, 80 vimanas, 12 temple walls, 13 halls, 15 large temple water bodies, 3 gardens, and 3 large prakarams. And of course, Tiruvarur is also home to our Carnatic music, Trinity. And I think we can just, keep going about just the beauty of that sthalam. I just want to, mention one thing. It is the primary of the what is called the Sapta Vidanga Kshetram. Just a very quick story. So legend has it that Vishnu presented Indra with the image of Somaskanda, which he had created and personally worshipped. And when the Chola king Muthukunda helped Indra in a battle, and as a reward he wanted that idol, Indra could not outright refuse. So instead, he made 6 similar murtis and told the king that if he can pick the original one from the group, he's free to take it to his country. The intelligent king, of course, picked the right one, and impressed with him, Indra gave him all the 7, and the king Mushukunda Chola installed the original one in the Tiruvarur temple, and there are 6 others. These are called the sort of the Sapta Vidanga Kshetram, in Tamil Nadu. I mean, the richness of our culture is just unbelievable. And I also want to take a minute here to thank my sister-in-law, Ranjini Gopalaswamy, who did all the research on all the temples. We really enjoyed going over this. So I hand it back to you on Tiruvarur with the Kamalalayam temple. Take us away.
Yeah, thanks, Revati. It's very nice info, very beautiful information on the temple. And yes, Tiruvarur is a grand kshetra, and so are the kritis of Sri Dikshithar with Tiruvarur. I think Muthuswamy Dikshithar enjoyed a very personal bond with Tiruvarur because the compositions dedicated to Tiruvarur and the whole temple complex is huge. The collection is huge, and you have the Tyagaraja Vibhakti Kritis. They are all of them are grand compositions, and you have the famous the Kamalamba Navavarana Kritis, which is an ocean uh, of every kind of information that is related to the worship of the goddess and the worship of the Sri Yantra, worship of the Navavarana Puja, the concept of the Sri Vidya Tattva, and you have other kritis dedicated to Nilotpalamba, dedicated to all the to the Panchalinga within the Tiruvarur temple, dedicated to different forms of Ganapati in Tiruvarur, and Dikshithar gives a fund of information in all these compositions. He describes the beautiful Vasantotsava of Tyagaraja. He mentions about the Ajapa Natana, and he gives details of the Alankaras. He gives the details of how the Utsava, the Vasantotsava happens right from the beginning of the hoisting of the flag, from the Dhwajarohana to the float festival. So we will see a few compositions, snippets of compositions, because they're all two big compositions, and I would love to sing them, but I don't know how much time we will. And again, we will not move from Tiruvarur again.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
you
Yes.
have, as I said, Dikshithar composed on different forms of Ganapati. And this is an interesting player you find at the corner of the Kamalalia tank. And this Ganapati has an interesting story. And Tiruvarur is also Tyagaraja is the Lord of Tiruvarur, Tyagaraja, or Shiva as he is known in Tiruvarur. Tyagaraja was the friend of the great Nayanar, Sundaramurti Nayanar.
Mm-hmm.
And it is said that once Sundaramurti Nayanar was in need of money, and he requested Lord Shiva to give him money. And he said, of course, he bestowed him with money. And so Sundaramurti Nayanar says, I can't take so much money back home to Tiruvarur. So he asked him to deposit in that tank and take it from the Kamalalaya tank. So the concept of ATM was already there, I guess. So when Sundaramurti Nayanar collects his gold from the Kamalalaya tank, and when he wants to exchange it for money, he apparently the story goes that somebody says, the goldsmith says that this is not pure gold, and it is this Pulayar who attests the purity of gold, of that gold, and he is known as the Suvarna Karshana Ganapathy in the corner of the Kamalalaya tank. So Dikshithar dedicates this famous Gauda composition to this Ganapathy there. So in the Charanam he mentions that Suvarna Karshana Padam Boja Gauravarna Vasana Dhara Pala Chandra Navadi Vinota Lambodara Kuvalaya Swavishana Pashankushamodaka Prakashakaro Bhavagaladi Amo Mola Prakriti Sukhatara Kavi Sahasra Sannidhareha Kavi Jananuta Mushikama Avanata Devata Samoha Avinasha Kaivalyageha Shri Maha Ganapati Ravatuma. Similarly, in the temple complex of Sri Tyagaraja, you find
one little request from one of the attendees. If you can turn your Stuti volume down when you're speaking, I think we can hear you speaking better. That's okay.
When I'm speaking, is it? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, just while speaking, yes.
Yeah, sure.
Please.
You find the different forms of Ganapati within the temple complex. You find Panchamatanga, the Ganapati with five. There are about 32 forms of Ganapati, different forms of Ganapati described in the Mudgala Purana, and you find certain forms in the Tiruvarur temple itself. You have this Muladhara Ganapati, you have the famous Vatapi Ganapati enshrined in the just behind Tyagaraja's Sannidhi in Tiruvarur. You have Panchamatanga Mukha Ganapati, you have Uchishta Ganapati who is enshrined in the entrance of the Kamalamba Sannidhi. So Dikshithar has composed on all these forms. Panchamatanga or Heramba Ganapati as he is known. Dikshithar has this beautiful Malahari composition dedicated to Heramba Ganapati. Panchamatanga Mukha Ganapati Aslito. The Purana gives you the Dhyana shlokas of each form, and Dikshithar incorporates all the information of the Dhyana shloka. He describes the iconography of each form. So, for example, in Panchamatanga Mukha, this Kriti, he gives you the Charanam, he gives you all the ayudhas that Heramba Ganapati holds. Varada Bhaya Pasha Srini Kapala Modaka Mudgara Kshamala Karena Varada Abhaya Pasha Srini Kapala Mudgara Kshamala Karena Kamalapura Viharena Puruhuta Yakhila Deva Similarly, Hastivadanaya, another exquisite composition, Niraga Navaroj, is on Mahaganapati, who is enshrined at the entrance of Tyagaraja Sannidhi. And this iconography is captured so beautifully in the Charana. Kamalopala Pasha Shankha Chakrekshukarmuka Vrihya Gragada Nijamishana Matulal Ratna Kalasha Dharana Karambujaya Padapankajaya. This is the quintessence of the Dhyana Shloka. Hasnindrananam Induchudam Arunachayam Trinetram Rasat Ashlishtam Priyaya Sapadmakaraya Svankasthaya Santatam Bijapura Gadadhanuhu Trishikayuk Chakrabjapashotpala Vrihyagrasvavishan Hastaivahantam Bhaje. So the Kriti even begins as Hasti. Hasti Vada Hastairvahantam Bhaje. So if you look at the Charanam, you find the exact same words being beautifully incorporated. So the Dhyana Shloka is beautifully incorporated in these compositions. And this, when you enter Tyagaraja's Sannidhi, you find the Mooladhara Ganapati. Ganapati is said to reside in the Mooladhara. He is the lord of the Mooladhara Chakra, or the bottommost energy center at the bottommost part of the spine. And he is the lord of all the 21,600 breaths that an individual takes every day. And all of that is mentioned in Matapi Ganapatim. He is the form of the fourfold form of Vak as Para, Pashyanti, Madhyama and Vaikhari. So that is mentioned in Matapi Ganapatim as well. And in the Sri Raga composition, Sri Mooladhara Chakra Vinayaka, Dikshithar mentions Sakali Krita Devaya Shabali Krita Swabhava Prakati Vaikhari Swabhava Parabhava Prasidha Gajagriva Vikata Shakshata Swasadhikara Vichitrakara Bhakopakara Akalanka Vibhaswara Vigneshwara Harabuguha Sodaranam Sodara Shri As you enter Tyagaraja Shrine, you will find the gorgeous, beautiful Somaskanda Murti. And Tyagaraja is very special because everything, all the alankaras and all the abharanas are very special and very exclusive to Tyagaraja and Tiruvarur. And if you look at the form there, you will find in Surma Skanda Murti, Skanda is actually hidden. You will find Tyagaraja along with Katyayini there, and you will find two swords placed next to Tyagaraja.
Turn down the volume. Just a little bit. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes. We can hear you very well now.
Yeah. And Dikshithar composes the Vibhakti Kritis as well. For Tyagaraja Vibhakti, he gives all the details of all the upacharas, the alankaras, and the form and the tattva of Tyagaraja in Tiruvarur. And this Murti is actually seated on the heart of Mahavishnu. And as Vishnu inhales and exhales, he is supposed to go up and down. And this is called the Ajapa Natana. And Dikshithar mentions in almost every Kriti of Tyagaraja, the concept of the Ajapa Natana. And you have beautiful composition, Tyagaraja Palyashmam in Gaula, Tyagaraja Yoga Vaibhavam, and Tyagaraja Namaste. There are exquisite compositions. And you find two khadgas or two swords that are placed next to Tyagaraja, and one next to Tyagaraja and one next to the goddess. And one is the Veera Khadga, that is the one placed next to Tyagaraja is the Veera Khadga, and one placed near the goddess is the Jnana Khadga. And Kamalamba, who is in penance, she has a separate shrine of her own in the temple complex. And Kamalamba is always in the smarana or the thought of Tyagaraja. She is not Mrs. Tyagaraja. So Dikshithar very carefully mentions that he is in Kamalamba smarana. He's still not Kamalamba Ramana. So, and so these are all subtle things that he very carefully jots down in his compositions. And it is said that one is born in Tiruvarur, he attains mukti or moksha. So, Jananath Kamalalaye, Darshanath Abhrasadasi, one who has Darshana in Chidambara attains moksha, one who even thinks of Arunachala attains moksha. Smaranath Kaivalya Prada. We will come. I'll talk about it when we come to Tiruvannamalai. If we come to Tiruvannamalai today, and one who sheds his mortal coil in Kashi attains moksha. So Dikshithar mentions that in this composition as well. Jananath Kamalalaye. So Jananath Kaivalya Dayaka Charana. And we will sing that composition. This is in the raga. This is in the raga Salaga Bhairavi, where he mentions about the khadgas. And again, we come to the raga parampara of Muthuswamy Dikshithar. We have a parampara that has been strictly followed by Dikshithar, a parampara that has been strictly followed by Tyagaraja Swami. So you have differences, similarities in both paramparas. The Salaga Bhairavi Raga is very well known, very popular because of Tyagaraja's beautiful small little Kriti Padavini Sadbhakti. But if you look at that composition, you will find the structure as Sari Ma Pada Sa Sani Da Pa Ma Ga Re Sa Padavini Sadbhaktiyu galgute padavini. Sadbhaktiyu galgute padavini. But in the same raga, the Dikshithar school is kind of different. It is not a strict Sarimapa, you have a Sarigama Prayoga as well. So in this Kriti, even in the right very beginning, you will see that. Tyagarajena sam rakshitoham daya sudha sagarena shri Tyagarajena sam rakshitoham digama pa sa ni da pa da pa. Oh, you see all these prayogas in the Sarada Bhirivi of Muthuswamy Dikshithar. Yagashalani mahotsave nayati varadhyopasitena bhavena bhoga bhogya prapanchodbhavena bhukti mukti prada paramashivena tyagarajena sam rakshitoham. Shri Ramanadi Pujita Charanena Treshyadi Pancha Kretya Karanena Harakataka Makotadi Dharanena Hataka Kshetradhikaranena Virakhaddaketaadidharanena Vikalpavirahitakaranena Marakala Tripuradiharanena Mahadeva Guru Guha Smaranena Tyagarajena Sanrakshitoham. So just because it is Salakabhairavi, you must not understand this as Sarimapa. No, in the Dikshithar school it is Sarigama. So these are all, so why I'm saying that is we have to respect each tradition as it is. And in the Kriti Veeravasanta Tyagaraja, he mentions about how one attains mukti if one is born in Tiruvarur. Dinakara Shashi Tejomaya Lochana Devaraja Munishapa Vimochana Manajavadana Kamala Nagara Sadana Valmikeshwara Bhakta Janavana Kanakaratna Simhasana Bharana Ganapati Guru Guha Janaka Bhavatarana Jananath Kaivalyadayaka Charana Janani Shri Kamalambika Smarana Jananath Kaivalyadayaka Charana Janani Shri Kamalambika Smarana Kanakaratna Simhasana Bharana Ganapati Guru Guha Janaka Bhavatarana Jananath Kaivalyadayaka Charana Janani Shri Kamalambika Smarana Tyagaraja Mamtarayashu Karunanidhe. This is in the raga Veeravasanta, which is the 24th Raganga raga. And again, Veeravasanta is should not be confused with the 24th Melakarta there. Again, this brings us to the concept of the Sangeeta Parampara that both Tyagaraja and Dikshithar followed. So that is how in this system, Raganga Raga need to have only 7 notes, but not necessarily in the Sarigama Padinisa Sanigama. There is an order. So that is how Veera Vasanta is a Raganga Raga or the Mela Raga in the Dikshita school. And Riga Sa Sani Nisa Rima Pa Sani Nisa Ni Pa Ma Riga Sa is Veera Vasanta. So that is how Sri Raga, which is a Raganga Raga in the Dikshita school, carries a Devata as well. It is a 22nd Raganga Raga. So even though Sri Raga is essentially Rima Pani Sa Sani Pa Ma Riga Risa, but in the Dikshita school you have Sani Pa Dani Pa Ma Riga Risa. You don't have this in the Tyagaraja school. So that is why whole of Endaro Mahanubhavulu or Namakusumamala or Yuktamugadu, you don't find Padani Pama in the Tyagaraja school at all. But in the Dikshita school, every Kriti will have Sani Padani Pama Riga Risa. One exception is Sri Muladhara Chakravireka, for some reason does not have this phrase. God knows why. Anyway, and this phrase comes with a condition. It can be used just only once. Sani Padani Pama Riga Risa. This Padani Pama can be used only once in a composition or an alapana or a manodharma aspect. That is the rule that it comes with. So if you look at the compositions of Dikshithar, you will find Dikshithar using it very beautifully just once in a composition. Sevaka Janapalinge Shrita Pankajamalinge Kevala Gunashalinge Keshavakratkelinge Shri Varala Shri Namaskubhyam. In Shri Varalakshmi. Shakam Bhari Shatodari Chandrakala Shankari Shankara Guru Guha Bhaktava Shankari Yekakshari Bhuvaneshwari Isha Priyakari Sri Kari Sukhakari Sri Mahatripura Sundari Sri Kamala. If I did occurring only once. In Tyagaraja Mahadhvajaroha, which is a grand composition on which describes all the festivals of the Vasantotsava that happens in Tiruvarur, you find this is in Sri Raga, and for people who have visited Tiruvarur and who have had the darshan of Tyagaraja, you will find that you can see only up to the bust of the Lord there. The rest of the bodily form is covered with flowers and abharanas, and so only up to the bust can one have darshana. But there is a tradition of having the pada darshana of the Lord, and this happens only once in Dakshinayana and only once in Uttarayana. And it happens on Tiruvadirai in Dakshinayana, and it happens on Panguni Uttaram in Uttarayana. So these are the only occasions, and it happens only once in an ayana. So Dikshithar mentions the Pada Darshana aspect of the Vasantotsava. And interestingly, Dikshithar incorporates the Padanipama Prayoga on that word in this long, beautiful composition. Anugrahatmaka Pada Darshanam. He incorporates the phrase Sani Padani Pamariga Risa. That phrase in the word Anugrahatmaka Pada Darshanam. He incorporates it only once. He incorporates it as a Swarakshara, and it is more than coincidence that The phrase Padani Pama Rigarisa comes with a condition, it can be used only once. And the Pada Darshana also happens only once. So, in the Charana, it is a long Charana which describes the nakshatra, the day on which the famous Aaliter of Tiruvarur happens. It happens on the Ashlesha nakshatra when the nakshatra is Ashlesha or Ailyam. And the Lord is adorned with the Krishna Gandha Tilaka, which is made of 18 herbs. And all of this is mentioned in the Charana. Srishti Swarupa Vasanta Vaibhavamashta Bhaje. Before that, in the Anupallavi, Dikshithar mentions the instruments that are very important to the Tiruvarur temple. Of course, the Nagaswara is mentioned, and so Nagaswara Madala the Shuddha Madala is very special to the Tiruvarur temple, and he mentions that in the Anupallavi of the Kriti, and in the Charana, Srishti Swarupa Vasanta Vaibhavamashta Dhvajendra Nimana Bhuta Samashti Gaja Preshabha Kailasava Shesha Maharatha Sitim Vishishta Haram Krishna Dharanam Shishta Sevika Japanartanam Ashtapashahara Tirtha Prabhavanurahatmaka Padadarshanam Ishtaphala-prada Kalyana Sundareshanavamacharya Prabhava Manshasiddhi Dayakambi Kosama Chandeshwaram Shivam Shrityaga Raja Ganesha Guru Guha Bhakta Bhairava Somamayam Shrityaga Raja
Amazing details about Tiruvarur. I think we have to reluctantly leave Tiruvarur and go to the next destination.
Yes, you have. As I said, nearly, I think more than 40 to 50 compositions dedicated just to Tiruvarur.
Amazing, amazing. It was just sheer bliss. Sheer bliss. So let me get to Nagapatnam now. So just a
Yes.
couple of details, interesting details connecting to what you said earlier. So the Shiva temple here is, has uh, the goddess Nilayatakshi. Nilayatakshi means one with the blue eyes. You all know. So she is actually in the form of a sort of a teenage girl and is believed to be one of the Shakti Peethams too. And she's also considered to be one among the five most important goddesses. And here is where we link it back to Trivarur also. So these are, Visalakshi, Kashi, the child form of the goddess. Then we go to Kamakshi, Kanchi, where you have the young girl. And then Nilayadakshi, Nagapatnam, their teenage or pubescent girl. And then Kamalambika, Tiruvarur, young woman. You talked about Kamalamba Smarana versus, never says Ramana, only Smarana. And then Meenakshi, in Madurai, the married woman. And also just want to mention that this is one of the Sapta Vidanga Sthalams as well, right? And the Lord is called Sundara Vidanga, in Nagapatnam. So let's get to Nagapatnam now. But we have to go back to Trivarur and one of the future programs, I think. I think this is just part one
Yeah.
of a multi-part series. So please, I hand it over to you for Nagapatnam.
Yeah. Nagapatnam has two beautiful kritis. One is the beautiful Ambanilayatakshin Viraga Nilambari. Again, this one single composition covers the entire uh, form of Nilambari. And if you look at this composition, the prasa structure is so beautiful. And you have such a grand, long Rendukalai composition which covers so many different facets of the raga. A very important facet of Nilambari, which is not commonly seen in other compositions, is the handling of the Gandhara and the raga. So, as you will see in the Pallavi itself, you will see how the Gandhara is so beautifully handled here. And this composition definitely was made extremely popular and immortal by the one and only Sharmudi Mama. And he used to sing Kalpana Swaras as well for this composition. That phrase is very, very typical of this composition and this parampara. And this phrase is so haunting, I guess, and it has been taken by Dikshithar's students, the Tanjavur Quartet, who have composed Ambanilambari on the same musical structures, and also by Kumara Etendra in his composition Karunananda in the Raga Nilambari again, which also follows the same Karuna Nanda Chaturasa Sradala Kamala Vasite. And the one by the quartet is Amba Nilambari. It follows the same musical structure of Amba Nilayatakshi. So, Karuna Katakshi Akhila Loka Again, you have a longer charanam. This is dedicated to Nilai Dakshi in Nagapattinam. Nagapattinam is also home to Soundararaja Perumal and this Kriti, the Raga Brindavana Saranga, again made so popular by my Guru Srimati D.K. Pattamal and Sri D.K. Jayaraman. This brings out a very beautiful, grand flavor of Brindavana Saranga, and right from the first phrase, it shows how Vrindavana Saranga has this beautiful phrase, how the Gandhara is employed sparsely but very, what shall I say, very, very distinctively. Vrindavana Saranga is so beautifully incorporated as the Raga. Gaja Vrindavana Saranga Varadarajam. And Nandana Rajam Nagapatana Rajam Sundari Rama Rajam Surabhinutamahi Rajam Mandasmitamukambujam Mandaradhara Karambujam Mandakaranayanaambujam Sundaratarapadambujam Sundararajam Ashvaye. You can see how the Sahitya that is replete with prasa, be it Dvitiyakshara prasa, Antimakshara, every single word is so beautifully placed with such rich music, and nothing is out of place. Yes, again, this is a longer charanam. So
We can. So we are,
yeah.
we're at about 7 p.m. But here, but if we can go on for another 10-15 minutes, maybe we can finish one more destination, and then is that okay?
Yes, please.
I
Yes,
mean,
yes,
I
sure.
want us to go on all evening here. It's just absolutely gorgeous, and we are learning so much. How about this? Let us skip Tanjavur and go to Chidambaram, which is an amazing kshetram. So
I need to say just one thing about Tanjavur. It is said that Dikshithar spent quite some time in Tanjavur along with his very illustrious Shishyas, the Tanjavur quartet. And it is at Tanjavur, it is said that he embarked on this project of showcasing the all the ragas of his parampara. So all the raganga ragas. So you will find small little compositions. For example, in ragas like Natabharanam or like Kokilarava or for example Nabhomani, Dhavalanga, all these ragas, you will find just one composition, it's small little composition just with a Pallavi and Anupallavi, and to showcase the raga Swarupa, and of course to showcase brilliant Sahitya as well. And all these compositions are dedicated to Brihadisha, Brihannayaki, and all the deities in and around Tanjavur, to Bangaru Kamakshi, to Anandavalli, to Konkanesha, to all of these small little temples other than the Periya Kovil or the Brihadisha. And you find a lot of compositions dedicated to Brihadisha as well, and to Brihannayaki, and to all these small little temples in and around Tanjavur. So I wanted to make that in Tanjavur.
No,
For example, you have
if you want to
again
talk,
Tanjavur.
that is
It
totally
is another separate study by itself.
yes.
You have a lot of
I
composition.
think we have to go back and revisit all these thalams. I'm learning, so much. And so let's just talk a little bit about Chidambaram. Would love to hear a couple of kritis there, and then unfortunately, we have to finish up for today. So as we know, it
Yeah.
is Panchabhuta Sthalam, and
Yes.
associated with Nataraja or Shiva in his Ananda Tandava pose, the cosmic dance of bliss, and in the cosmic golden hall and the hall of consciousness, Chitsabha. And Shiva is also worshipped in the formless form of Chidambara Rahasyam, here. While the temple is known for its Akasha Lingam, as embodiment of Shiva in kind of formless, space. In fact, the interesting thing is in Tamil Saiva Siddhanta, the word Koil only stands for the Chidambaram temple. I mean, isn't that, that's just amazing. And the temple wall carvings display all the 108 Karanas from the Natya Shastra by Bharata Muni. And interestingly, in Tanjavur, there are blocks for 27, there are all the 108 have not been completed. There are blocks for 27, and the remaining ones, have been completed. Again, we can talk about the kritis, we can talk about the stalams, the Stala Puranam. We can just go on and on. But would love to hear a couple of kritis on Chidambaram, and then we'll finish up. But we'll be back with the. We have hardly covered, one 1/7
Yeah.
or 1/6 of what we set out to do. So please.
This is like an express train just going past all these kshetras.
Correct.
Just having a Gopura Darshana of all these kshetras.
Right.
And yes, Chidambaram, the Akasha Kshetra of the Panchabhuta Stalas. As I said, the number 5 is associated with Lord Shiva, and this is yet another example. He is enshrined in the form of the 5 fundamental elements in these 5 kshetras. As Prithvi in Kanchipura, as Up or Jala in Thiruvannaikaval, as Agni in Arunachala, as Vayu in Srikalahasti, and as Akasha in Chidambaram. Again, there are interesting facts about the set of the Panchabhuta Kshetra Kritis. Very interestingly, if you look at the Kriti Jambupate, that is dedicated to Jambukeshwara and Thiruvannaikaval, who is of the form of the water element. If you look at that Kriti, you will find all the words have a water connection there. The raga is itself Yamuna. The raga Yamuna Kalyani is known as Yamuna in the Dikshithar school. So the water connection begins right from there. The raga is Yamuna. And you have Ambujasana, Brahma is referred to as Ambujasana, or one who is seated on the lotus, and lotus that comes from the water. Is water. And Kambukanth Hekilandeshure, Before that, Mudhi Ganga Kaveri. There cannot be a better water connection than this line. Ambudhi Ganga Kaveri Yamuna. Kambukanth Akhilandeshwari. Akhilandeshwari is described as one who has a neck like this, which resembles the conch or the shankha again that comes from water. So every word in the composition has a water connection. The gate itself is like water-like. If you look at Arunachalanatham, you have the fire connection right there with the words. The raga is Saranga and Ram is the Agni Bija, and the whole Kriti is filled with the Rakara of the Ram, the Agni Bija. Arunachalanatham Smarami Anisham Apita Kuchamba Sametam Arunaditya Smaranat Kaivalya Prada Charanaravindam. As I said, if you think of Arunachala, you are bestowed with mukti. So Smaranat Kaivalya. So the verb that Dikshithar uses is so appropriate. Arunachalanatham, not bhajami. Arunachalanatham smarami. So that smarana has to be, because Smaranat Kaivalya Prada Charanaravindam. Taruna, look at the number of rakaras, repas that come in the composition. Tarunaditya Koti Sankasha Chidanandam. Aprakrita Tejomaya Lingam. Karunarasadi Kandam. Sharanagata Surabrindam. Aprakrita Tejomaya Lingam. Atyadbhuta Karadhrita Sarangam. Apramem Aparnabja Bhringam Arudho Tunga Vrishangam Vrishaturangam Viprotama Visheshantirangam Veera Guruguha Tara Prasangam Swapradeepa Mauli Vidhrita Gangam Swaprakasha Jita Somagni Patangam Arunachalanath. So whole Kriti has a fire connection there. If you look at the Kriti of Nataraja, and here the Lord performs the Ananda Tandava Nritta on Ananda Tandava, and he is formless. So, but he has Shivakama Sundari right there. And if you look at the compositions on the Kriti on Ekamparanatha, Kamakshi is not mentioned because Kamakshi is the only Shakti shrine to all the Shiva temples in Kanchipura. And Kanchipura is known as the Shivajit Kshetra because it is said that she won over Shiva. There's a long story to it, but no Shiva temple in Kanchi has a Shakti shrine. Kamakshi is the only Shakti shrine there. So even though Kamakshi is Mrs. Ekamarnatha, even though she has her own shrine and she is not in the temple complex of Ekamarnatha. So in the Kriti on Ekamarnatha, Chintayama Kanda Moolakandam, Dikshithar does not mention Kamakshi. Whereas he mentions Akhilandeshwari in Jambupate, he mentions Apita Kuchamba in Arunachalanatha, he mentions Jnana Prasunambika in Sri Kalahastisha, he mentions Shivakama Sundari in Ananda Tandava, Ananda Natana Prakasham. And again, this Kriti, Ananda Natana Prakasham, is Nataraja is of the form of all the 5 acts or the Panchakritya, Srishti, Sthiti, Samhara, Tirodhana and Anugraha. The Damaru in his hand is represents Srishti. The Damaru in this right upper hand, it is said that Vrittavasane Nataraja Rajo Nanata Dhakkam Nava Panchavara. And it is said that creation of the Shabda Brahman was born out of the sounds that was created by Lord Nataraja at the end of his cosmic dance. And he sounded the Dhamaruka 14 times. The number 14 is very significant here because the number 7 represents the worldly plane. And it is with the sounding of the Dhamaruka that creation came into being. And this 14 is again represented as a combination of 9 and 5. Nanada Dhakkam Nava Panchavaram. Not as a combination of 10 and 4 or 12 and 2 or nothing. It is a combination of 9 and 5. 9 that signifies the goddess, 5 that signifies the Lord Shiva. So it is an unison of Shiva and Shakti. It's because of the unison of Shiva and Shakti that you have all the creation, everything around you. So again, it is a subtle representation of Shiva and Shakti. Nanada Dhakkam Nava Panchavaram. So this 14 is a very significant number. It is a variant of 7, and the number 7 represents the worldly plane, and that is why you have 2 kritis on Nataraja, which are again set to a count of 7. Both Ananda Natana Prakasham and the Kriti Chidambaram Nataraja Murti Midiraga Tanukirti, both are in a count of 7. And Dikshithar mentions the illustrious Parampara, the Tillai Muvairam Parampara, the Dikshita Parampara, of whom Nataraja is also part of. In the Charanam, he mentions them. And this is in the Raga Kedara. Again, it's a very, very interesting choice, I guess. If you look at the longitude of Kedarnath up in the Himalayas, and the longitude of Chidambara down, far down south here, everything falls on the same longitude. And there are many Shiva Kshetras which fall on the same longitude. And no wonder Dikshithar mentions Shitam Shugangadhar Lakandharam Srikedadharam Shri Kedaradi Kshetra Adharam. It seems like Chidambara is the Adhara, Chidambara is the center of the universe, and Chidambara is supposed to be the Adhara. So it seems like for Kedara itself, Chidambara is the Adhara. And the other thing is this form of Nataraja that signifies the Panchakrityas, the Damaruka signifies Srishti, the Tiruvashi or and the strands of hair represents Sthiti, Agni represents Samhara, his left hand that is in Dola Hasta that represents Thirodhana, and the right hand which is in Anugraha represents Anugraha. And the Kunchita Pada is very, very, very special. The Kunchita Pada of Nataraja is very raised left leg, is very special, and it is for the sake of two great rishis, Patanjali and Vyaghrapada, that Nataraja even came there and performed this cosmic dance. And Dikshithar mentions all of them in this composition. Dina Jana Samrakshana Chanam Divya Patanjali Vyaghrapada Darshita Kunchita Jataganam Natana Prakasham Chetsabhelasham Ashrayami Shirakama Vallisham. And Bhutesham Shardula Charmambaram Chidambaram Bhusuratri Sahasra Munishwaram. Trisahasra Munishwaram. He is the Lord of the Tillai Dikshitas or the 3000 Dikshitas of Chidambaram. Vishweshwaram Avanita Hridayam Sadaya Guru Guhatatamadhyam Veda Vedyam Vitaraginam Prameyadvaita Pratipadyam. And sings, he performs the Ananda Nritya there, Ananda Tandava there. How can he not be without music? So, Sangeeta Vadya Vinoda Tandava Jata Bahutara Bheda Chodyam. And how can a Kriti on the dancing Lord cannot be without a Jati? Panini Sataka Januta Sanini Jhamparita Samagama Pani Magata Janaka Magama Mapa Sanini Tajhamtaripa Magata Dhingena Tomananda Natana Prakasham. The other Kriti on Nataraja is again a very beautiful Kriti. This is the Raga Tanu Kirti, the Raga that actually triggered or helped the family to get the Lakshana Granthas from the descendant of Venkatamakhin. So in this Raga, the Raga name is Tanu Kirti. And as you know, this is the Akasha Kshetra. And the Lord obviously is of the Akasha Sarupa, which means he does not have a bodily form there. So Dikshithar very beautifully incorporates the Raga name in this composition in a very different way. He says, Chidambara Nataraja Murtim Chintayami Atanu Kirtim, one who has a reputation of not having a Tanu or not having a Sharira. Atanu Kirtim. So that is how Tanu Kirti is included in the composition. and Chidambara Natarajamurtim Chintayam Yatanukirtim Chidambara Natarajamurtim Chintayam Yatanukirtim Madamba Shivakami Patim Madamba Shivakami Patim Madana Janaka Mahita Pashupatim Madana Kamala Guru Guhavinutim Madamba Shivakami Patim Madana Janaka Mahita Pashupatim Madana Kamala Guru Guhavinutim Sariri ma ni pa ma ma ga ga ri ri sa ni da ni sa ni sa sa ri ma ga ni ma pa sa ni sa ga ri sa sa ni da ni pa pa ma ga ri sa ni chidam bana natarajam yam yatanuti.
Amazing, amazing. When you talk about 14, the number 14, I was also thinking of the Chaturdasha Raga Malika.
Of course, yes. That is why
Correct.
the Chaturdasha Raga Malika, the choice of 14 is very significant in the Chaturdasha Raga Malika. We would have covered it if we had come to Kurikare. So we will go to Kurikare sometime.
But we are going this time or the time after. We are going there. Thank you so much. This was just
Thank you.
Well, it was. So
Thank you.
I'm going to hand it over to Sri Venkatachalam to thank you. And I would like
Thank you, Venkatachalam Mama. Thank you, Shekhar sir, for all for having us. We really enjoyed being with all of you, and we really hope to see you soon in San Diego. We hope the pandemic ends very soon and all is well very soon. Prayers for all that. Thank you.
Namaskaram. We really absolutely enjoyed this presentation. You know, there is always this problem. The audience look at music as entertainment. They make judgments as to what is good music and bad music based on a knee-jerk reaction, I would say. Then you suddenly meet a person like you. And then suddenly you find that this song, Sri Nathadi, that was already very nice to hear. Had other things, guhyam, other things hidden in it. This shows why one needs music appreciation with under a guru. This is the only way it could be done. And this is the realization that will change the musical audience. And that underscores why we all think, along with Revati Subramaniam and Shekhar, think that such legdems are really very, very valuable. We absolutely enjoyed, and we know that we are skimming the surface. Surface itself looks very interesting. We need to go deep. I thought going to all these kshetram would take time. And yeah, I was right. I wasn't talking about physically going, but actually looking at every kriti. So, Revati, let us have a volume 2 of this one.
Yeah, I think we need at least 6 more volumes.
And plus, you seem to be very, very excited about this. And so I think you should take the lead and then have a shorter list of temples this time.
No, I think we have to cover all of them. I think there are just too many. So we would like to request Shriramkumar and Amritha to please come again.
Definitely.
I think the audience are just amazing, right? They're all kind of transported to a different world. Thank you. And I would like to, thank all the Vidwans and Vidushis in the audience here. Thank you so much. I see Srimati Savitri Jagannatha Rao here. So, thank you all. And I would like to request all of you to please like our Facebook page, Indian Fine Arts Academy San Diego, and we go live with these programs. Please tell all your friends and family about this. And our goal really is to just make the best use of option B we have now. And who knows, option B might continue even after option A comes into picture. So thank you all so much. Thank you. This was just
Thank you, thank you,
Thank you.
thank you, Revati,
Thank you
thank
so
you,
much.
Venkatachalamama,
Thank
to
you.
Shekhar sir,
Thank you so much.
to all of you, and to all of you for being here. Thank you so very much.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Thank you.